Good afternoon, VV Nation. Welcome to Trending Thursday. Man, it's hard to believe it's already Thursday. The week's gone by pretty quick today. Now, the alert will be hitting in just a moment, so we'll give everyone a second to make their way into the room here. But we can see the market taking a little bit of a breather after the optimism over the last two trading sessions here. The major indices are mixed right now. The Dow Jones down about 0.5%. And I said this yesterday on the AMA, and even I think I said this on Monday, that the best case scenario for Tesla's earnings affecting the market is Google, a positive response from investors when it comes to Google. I saw the gap up in Google kind of, offset the gap down in Tesla, I should say. So the market not, going too crazy today. All right, we'll give everyone just a moment because I do have a couple announcements to make in the room. And where are we at with viewers? All right, we'll give it just a second. Everyone make their way in here. Now, can everyone see me? Everyone can hear me? Put a VV in the comment section if you can hear me, if you can see me. Tesla clickbait. No, not necessarily clickbait. Clickbait tabula, because I do have two articles when it comes to Tesla. They dropped down 9% when it comes to from the earnings call here. Again, no surprise there. We were talking about the numbers on the two prior live streams this week. I wasn't too thrilled. I said the only thing that could really save the company is, some good guidance from Elon, which didn't seem to enthuse investors too much because the stock's down about 9% right now. As well, we had Lockheed Martin, big earnings this week. United Health, I saw the news with them. That's an article we're going to take a look at today as well. They report next week, which I find very interesting. All right, so let's get into it here. The first announcement from the live stream on Monday, we had talked about, brainstorming ways, potentially help Glenn, and his family. Give me just a moment here. Where is it at? All right. So again, as many of you have been asking, how you can show support to Glenn, dear friend and colleague of ours. This is an easy website. Oh, Joey, can you put this in the comment section, the link? So it's just vectorvest.com/Glenn. This is a GoFundMe account. It was created by the CEO here at VectorVest. She's handling the account, and the beneficiary will be his wife. But again, as we all know, Glenn suffered a major stroke, 2025. Glenn is definitely a fighter here. He's working hard in rehab to gain his strength. But this is challenging for him and his wife, Janet, who's balancing work, family, caregiving, all those good things. So again, we've definitely heard your feedback that you want to help. So we want to make sure we're able to, give you an opportunity to help Glenn if you can. Any donation, doesn't matter how big or small, is appreciated. Now, if you can't donate money, hey, I get it. We're all in different positions in life at this time. Send prayers. Glenn is definitely a believer in the power of prayer. And I think, sending him prayers or well wishes in that manner will be a great, will help him just as much, right? He needs the prayers right now to help regain his strength. See here, 19 donors so far, Bill says. Yeah, I think other than yesterday, which was closed just to VectorVest subscribers in the community room, today's the first announcement. So again, I'll probably make a couple announcements over the next few live streams, maybe the next week or two, just, because I know not everyone watches, every live stream, and just want to make sure, if you do want to help Glenn, at least you get the announcement and you're notified that you can do so. Thank you for posting this for Glenn. Of course, John, of course. Other than that, the other big news is Power Hour on Wednesdays. We've been doing every other Wednesdays on the YouTube side. That is going to be going away. So next week, it's going to be Fridays at 2 p.m. We'll actually simulcast because right now we already do one in the community room. And obviously, it just being me now, I don't have Glenn here to help me. It just makes more sense to double up that video on Friday between both power hours, right? So just make it a little bit more efficient. So again, Power Hour, it's not going away. It's just being moved to Fridays at 2 p.m. 'Cause trust me, I definitely appreciate getting your stock picks, so that way we can try to put you on the right side of the trade. But also, getting your stock picks helps put stocks that may not be on my radar or other people amongst the VectorVest community's radar. So again, Power Hour is a great webcast to go see. Again, it's just where I take all your stock picks for an entire hour. We just break them down. So if you haven't checked out a Power Hour before, definitely do that. Again, that's going to be on every other Friday, and it will be on the YouTube channel. I think we updated the forward lives, so if you need to see the dates or anything. The first one, again, being next Friday, and then after that, it's just every other Friday at 2 p.m. The one, I think it's every other Friday, right, Joe? Is that what we decided?
Yep.
Okay. The community room version will still be there every Friday. So just wanted to put that out there. So again, if you're just tuning in, because I see the viewerships did go up a little bit here, this is just a great and wonderful way to help Glenn if you wish. Again, we've had a lot of requests and customers ask how can they help Glenn. Just go to VectorVest.com/Glenn, and there's a GoFundMe account. Alex, yesterday, Ryan, do you remember us talking about data centers that were built to mine crypto are being converted into AI use? I was saying CoreWeave did exactly that. I do remember that, Alex. And actually, I'd started doing some research on it. Bitfarms, I was actually just watching a good educational video on Bitfarms. Same situation. They are, in a unique position because they already have, essentially Bitcoin and, Ethereum miners. They already are data centers. They're huge stacks of GPUs. They require lots of energy. So they've already got the permits. They've got the infrastructure. So yeah, I do see more of this going forward. These partnerships between AI data centers and, crypto miners, just, they've got the technology. They've got the infrastructure. They already have the permits in place. All right. So let's go back to the VectorVest 7 software. Again, I will make this announcement. Maybe over the next week or so, just that way everyone is informed that there is a way and an ability, to help Glenn here. All right, so let's get back to it. Let's get into the VectorVest 7 software. All right, we see the major indices are mixed right now. Dow Jones still leading the charge to the downside, 169. To the upside, we got NASDAQ here. We can see that, Google optimism is overpowering that of Tesla's pessimism, I should say, right? So actually, let's go ahead and to the news stories because there's some stories I want to talk about Tesla real quick. All right, first one here. Tesla stock plunges 9% after another weak quarter for auto sales. We're talking about this Monday, right? I had an article talking about, revenue and earnings declines year over year. But you can see here, Tesla could have a rough few quarters ahead as a result of the expiration of federal electric vehicle taxes, right? That's one of the big things right now. They, the big beautiful bill? A lot of those subsidies got rolled back, right? And again, Tesla is facing stiffer competition globally, low-cost China, right? We've talked about Boyd on here quite a bit. Stock down 8.93%. But an unlikely ally came back into the picture. We got Trump here, right? Came out this morning, right after the stock dropped down 9%. Trump says he won't destroy Musk companies by taking away subsidies, right? Find this very big inflationary bill. Yeah, I'm not going to get political here. We'll see what the result is of that bill. But again, interesting timing for Trump to come out and say, hey, we're not going to get rid of your subsidies because I know, the alliance, again, I don't like getting political, but the alliance with Trump has both helped and hindered Tesla shares over the last, 9 months, I'd say. But right now, I think this be good news. Other than Tesla just being greatly overvalued in general, still concerned about that. By all means, though, this right here, in my opinion, should at least stop the bleeding of this 9%. A gap down. We'll take a look at the intraday chart and see what the reaction has been. But again, I do see this as good news for Tesla. So I know there's some Tesla holders in here. So just want to throw that on your radar. Here we've got Lockheed Martin, the post-earnings plunge. I don't know if you saw that. Big gap down from Lockheed Martin. You see, look at this. a golden dome buying opportunity. I was actually surprised. It had two bullish or upside candlesticks, I should say, over the last two trading sessions after the gap down. Alex says China-U.S. trade talks could extend to August 12th. Yeah, that's the trade deal everyone wants to hear about. But as far as Lockheed Martin, we're going to see if this is a good defense stock to be bottom fishing on. Is it too early to bottom fish? Is it good just, put in a watch list, maybe put some alerts on there at certain levels? But we'll take a look at it. But I definitely think Lockheed Martin, this might be a dip you want to pay attention to, especially when I went to the VectorVest 7 software and looked at our valuation. Now the company is undervalued, so, it's in the watch list. We'll take a look at it here in just a few. Now, here's another stock, UNH, United Healthcare. I know there's probably some of you as well. Alex says, I'll just stick to DFIN. Hey, I don't blame you. DFIN is an easy way to do it. NASDAQ, when they will snap back to reality, there goes gravity. Then September, then October, Bill, stop it. But as far as United Health, though, they've had a lot of problems. But you can see, look at this. Just revealed it is facing Justice Department criminal and civil investigations over its Medicare billing practices, adding to a string of setbacks. And there's just been one setback. The company's been going down for quite a bit now. United Health also said it has launched a third-party review of its business policies and performance metrics. Last year, United Healthcare, the world's largest and most powerful private health insurer. And I get it. Even with our valuation, I've seen a lot of articles online, a dip in United Healthcare may not be a bad idea. We'll take a look at the chart. Right now it's down about 4%. I haven't looked at the chart of UNH, but if this did put in a new low, that would be a problem for sure. UNH is screwed. Yeah, there might be quite a bit of overhaul at that company, or maybe even a breakup. We'll see what happens, but it's the largest healthcare provider. And if I'm not mistaken, UNH, United Healthcare, that's in the Dow Jones, right? If I had to guess, that's probably what's bringing the Dow Jones down, if I'm right about that. But I'm almost positive UNH is in the Dow Jones. So we saw the market's mixed right now. If I had to guess, a lot of that downside action in the Dow Jones probably, responsible by UNH. All right, so let's go into it. Next week, we've got earnings here. So I just want to give you a heads up which stocks are reporting next week. We've got Cadence Design Systems here. That's on Monday. If you're in steel's been hot. We got Nucor Corporation as well. Bill. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. But I would imagine that's probably the biggest lagger, if I had to guess. Tesla's not in the Dow Jones, no. But yeah, as far as Nucor, even if you're just holding steel stocks in general, look to see what Nucor does. Especially as far as tariff concerns, the Japanese trade deal, things of that nature. We'll see what happens. Now, come Tuesday, we got Visa. This is the interesting play right here. United Health Group Incorporated. That's an interesting play there. I'm not going to speculate on what it's going to do. But if you own the shares, I'd probably see what the premiums are going for. But I imagine you probably get a good premium for it. It's been a pretty volatile stock here. We got AstraZeneca, Merck & Company, Boeing, Spotify, Starbucks. A lot of big companies coming out Tuesday. But Wednesday is the day you need to pay attention to. Look at this. Microsoft and Meta. That's right. Two out of the Mag 7 stocks. The Dow Jones was 3.75 points from a new high last night. So much for that record. United Health definitely ruined a good time when it comes to Dow Jones. And if you think about it, look at the VectorVest composite. It was very close. It's like the Dow Jones. It's lagging behind the S&P and the NASDAQ as far as a new high. But, we've got a lot of big earnings next week, and I have a feeling we could easily hit a new high if we get some positive sentiment, especially for Microsoft or Meta. Here we've got Lam Research. That's semiconductor. ARM Holdings, Qualcomm. So if you're holding semiconductors, Wednesday, it's going to be a big day. The gap up, but Thursday will probably be the big day as far as semiconductors next week, just because you've got three big names here reporting along with Microsoft and Meta. So if you're holding, tech, semis, AI in general, Wednesday and Thursday could be some volatility depending how these stocks report and how investors respond to the reporting. But then Thursday, look at this, followed up by 2 more, Apple and Amazon. That's right, 4. Now we're up to 4 out of the top 7, not top 7, Mag 7 stock, pretty much top 7, right? So I'm going to put, next week is probably going to be the biggest earnings week. Other than next week, I'd have to see what companies are reporting the same week as NVIDIA. But that's probably going to be the second biggest week on investors' minds, right? We all want to know what NVIDIA's got to say. Jensen Huang, I was watching a video. It might actually be in a video, a 6 p.m. video here shortly of Jensen Huang and just the importance of him and Lisa Su when it comes to Western dominance of semiconductor. Obviously, TSMC is mixed up into that. All right, so Friday, we're probably going to slow it down here. Looks like we got, Berkshire Hathaway hasn't been confirmed, obviously, but look at this. So oil. So if you're holding oil stocks, ExxonMobil, Chevron, 2 of the biggest, right? So again, if you're holding oil, look out for Friday. But if you're holding tech, or generally speaking, Wednesday, Thursday, that's going to be the shakeup here. We got Microsoft, Meta, followed by Apple, Amazon, and a bunch of other big names on those 2 days as well. All right, as far as the economic calendar, we got big things next week. As far as the economic calendar here, we got consumer confidence next Tuesday. This is what I'm going to be looking at. GDP data, obviously AD employment. That's going to be important too. Big week next week for, actually, we're going to, now I'm thinking about it, between all these Mag 7 companies reporting, all these other big companies, we got oil, semiconductors, ADP employment, GDP data, which GDP data, this is the quarter 2 I've been telling you about. This is, essentially how we measure a, recession. We'll see, because if it is negative, this will be the second quarter, the recession will be locked in. And look at that, shortly right after, if we find out if we're in a recession by these measurements, you got the FOMC interest rate decision, right? Now, if it says recession, if it says negative growth, well, that's probably going to make it easier case for an interest rate cut sooner than later, right? Otherwise, we'll see, how Jerome Powell responds to economic data next week. But I know there's been a lot of pressure. I know we all know there's been a lot of pressure when it comes to cutting interest rates. The VVC actually had a closing high. Oh, it did, Bill? Okay. Yeah, I don't think I've looked at the the VectorVest composite per se since probably about 2-3 o'clock yesterday. And then look, Thursday we got inflation data, PCE. I mean, we've got recession. We're gonna find out if we're in a recession. We're gonna find out if we get an interest rate cut. We're gonna find if inflation is ticking up next week, and we're gonna find out 4 out of the top 7. 4 out of the Mag 7 stocks. So again, a lot of reason. That next week is going to be a really big week. All right. After that, I think, that's about it. So let's go back into the software here. And now that you mentioned it, let's go over to the VectorVest composite. View stock graph. Okay, did get a close. It is the highest close for the year. Not intraday high, but it is the highest close for the year. Is the July high in now, right? Can the market, are we going to get some good data next week? Because there's a lot of data coming in. So if the July high theory does come to fruition, I imagine a lot of that is going to be decided next week. What's with these Crown 1, 2 tags in the chat? Joey, what's up with those Crown 1? Is that the membership? Those little crowns next to
No, that's the chat leaderboard.
Oh, that's the chat leaderboard, Tabulous. You're number 2. Bill is my number 1. And Bashir, I see Orla Mining down 13%. What? Smack says most chatty person, right? And Bill, I'm not surprised you got that award. Gets the crown every day. All right. Let's see here. What was I going to look at here? Oh, let's close this. So we got the intraday high, and let's look at the Dow Jones real quick. Let's see here. Let's do Dow Jones total. All right, does hit a new high here, but actually let's back that up. Bill says, are you Italian? I'm Italian, and we talk more than anyone. There wax more good news in this morning, less than expected jobless claims. Yes, I did see that. It was about, 20,000 less? I did see that too. Hulk Hogan died this morning. I mean, what is it? We lost Ozzy and Hulk Hogan. I mean, that's two, what would you call that? Legends of like the 80s and 90s, essentially, of a long lost era. Bill says, this is where we need Glenn. You talk too much. Oh man, you never shut up. Ryan, you know that rap song? You talk too much. Oh man, you never. I don't know that rap song, John. Unfortunately not. All right, let's go take a look at these stocks here, because there were a couple ones. Let's see your news. Look at this. We got Lockheed Martin, United Health, and Tesla, right? All these stocks have been knocked down. 2 out of the 3 reported this week. 1's reporting next week. So let's take a look at the charts overall. And actually, let's go ahead and go over to the right here. Let's go to the forecasted data. Look how weak the forecasted data is. 0, negative on Tesla. So again, this forecasted data is a very popular, or very powerful tool here. The only one with, double-digit number here is going to be sales growth rate, earnings growth rate 4% at UNH. Let's graph these. First one we got here is Lockheed Martin. This is a consolidation zone I was looking at here, around 443 to about 509. We got the gap down, breaking that clearly, but now we're entering this gap. You can see some initial buying pressure on the first day here from the gap lower. 2 days of positive sentiment to the other side. But look at all the moving averages. They're picking up space here. So you can see the momentum is to the downside. It's going to be like catching a falling knife right now. Don't necessarily advocate it right now. The only thing that makes it very attractive is look at the valuation jump up here. The stock was greatly overvalued. Now it's actually in undervalued territory. But look at the value starting to falter back. Price action starting to go down. This is not what I want to see. Value on the decline, price action on the decline. Sell recommendation. So I do like the idea of Lockheed Martin, but not at this time. A little bit of momentum, a little bit more momentum than I would like to the downside. And we're actually seeing a little bit of an upper wick on both of these candlesticks here. So if you're thinking about Lockheed Martin, I'd have some patience, but again, that is on you. Here is United Healthcare. Look at the value of this. The value is at $650, right? And the whole idea, everyone's like, oh, it's sold off. It's $350 now. So undervalued. But guess what? Value just plummeted right with the stock. So if anyone's out there saying, yeah, the UNH was $600, it's so undervalued, just show them the VectorVest 7 software. But I do not like this as a bottom. If value held around $600, yeah, I would feel like I'm getting a great deal, and maybe it's worth the risk in the news, right? But right now, I'm not getting that great of a deal, and I see, 1 rejection on the 20-day EMA, 2 rejection, that's kind of a little of a fake out there, 3 rejections right here, this prior swing high reaching right up to that 20-day EMA. Nope, I'm not a fan of it, and honestly, other than just the bottom wick, it looks like the candlesticks are approaching new lows here. Yeah, that would be the bottom close here. So again, I'm not of the mindset of United Health. Is anyone looking to sell UNH puts? Come on, step up. Let me check the IV. So correct. Selling calls, selling puts, depending on which way you're want to go on the stock. If did buy it, I at least want 100 shares of it. And $281 stock, that's not a cheap purchase. But if I'm going to get in this, I'd at least want to have 100 shares so I can play some options on it, maybe lower my cost premium, things of that nature. UNH ain't worth squat, falling knife. Yep, Bill, that's about what I say. But I just like to help people, and if anyone's getting the idea of UNH, there's more bad news. It's down today, and just the value. If the value held at 600, I'd say, hey, I get the logic in it. But right now, with the value plummeting just with the stock, the value is what, 328? We're trading at 281. That's not a lot of value for a whole lot of risk and already a lot of momentum to the downside. So again, catching a falling knife here. Here's Tesla. We got the gap down, broke below the 20-day EMA. Here's my level of support here around 283 to about 266. If we get in here, I'd be a little bit more concerned because we would have a new swing low to go with lower swing highs. So again, that would be the definition of a downtrend, right? So we're going to find out if that comes to fruition here pretty soon. Bill says more like a falling spear. Yeah. John, you might need some crown if you plan on buying UNH. And I'm not talking about the one that goes on your head either. About the fine stuff that comes from Canada. All right, let's get out of here. But yeah, UNH, Lockheed, Tesla, these are stocks. Don't fall. In my opinion, I wouldn't fall for these traps. There's too many good stocks out there. You want something a little spicy that shows probably a better opportunity? Maybe SMCI. I would probably like that more than these three. But just be careful. All right, let me close out of this. Now, one space that's still really hot right now, before I just get into your general picks, I want to take defense stocks. So the first 10 defense stocks that come across that chat are the 10 defense stocks that I'm putting in here. We're going to break them down. How about CRS? Good entry? Ryan, you read my mind with SMCI. That's what I mean. Personally, if I'm going to get into all that craziness of those type of stocks, with a bunch of volatility and news, I like SMCI. See your RTX. DRS. UAMY. UAMY I will treat as a defense play because for antimony, obviously, there's a lot of military application. That's why we're taking the measurements that the U.S. government is currently. Let's see. Let me scroll back up here. I think you meant to put AVAV-R, not AVAV, but I got AVAV here. Let's see here. Howmet. Oh, Howmet Aerospace. Let's see, we got 4. We got Howmet. Howmet, that's interesting. I've never heard of that one. So I'm interested. I like stocks I've never heard of. Axon. All right, we got 10 here. Scroll over to the right. Got Aerospace Defense. This is a mining company. Aerospace Defense. Axon. Wait. Let's see here. All right, let's scroll over to the left. But yeah, I like this diverse. Not everything's in aerospace defense here. We got some good companies. Let me scroll this to the left here. See what we got. What's up at the top of the list? Kratos Defense. And I do have value divided by price here. So if you see anything with a 1 or higher, that means that stock is undervalued, right? So the most undervalued stock here, and actually the only undervalued stock here, is going to be RMBY. Currently priced at $4.12. We value at $4.23. But look, investors willing to pay a premium right now. Like Kratos Defense trading at $58. We valued at $16. AVAV trading at $272. We only valued at $114. So just a heads up, this is a crowded space. It doesn't look like you're going to find any value, much of any value, in at least with these stocks here. So just keep that in mind that the value plays when it comes to defense, a lot of those days are over. It's more turning into momentum plays right now because we are seeing a lot of momentum in these positions going forward. There we go. All right. Ooh. John says, can you imagine how many pension fund lost money with UNH thinking it was a safe company? Wow, long term, the chart looks fugly. How come your crown has a number 2? You're a slacking, Bill. You guys are fighting for crowns, huh? I like it. I like it. Look at this. Alfreda is number 1 right now. All right. So as far as these stocks, we see a mixed bag with defense right now. So let's go ahead and see where we're at with these positions. See if we're seeing weakness here. All right. Oh, look like Kato's did exactly what I thought I was going to do. Broke above it, retested it here. But look, this big upper wick. Let's go to 3 months here. Big upper wick. I am not liking that. If you're in it, if it drops much below this trend line, depending on what you're doing, if you're a long-term investor, hey, you might have something a little bit more wiggle room. But if you're a swing trader, I'd look to get defensive. Otherwise, you got the 20-day EMA here, which has been as a level support recently. Or maybe taking some off the table if it breaks below this trend line. Just throwing out some options there. Forecasted data looks pretty good. 25% earnings growth rate, sales growth rate 9. Obviously, I would like to see sales growth rate outpace earnings growth rate, but can't have everything you want. Stock is overvalued, right? So I'm going to go less off the fundamentals here, more off the hype. You see lower left, upper right. As long as it stays above this trend line here, hey, I'm going to be bullish on this position. Not going to get, too technical about it. Here is AVAV. Look at AVAV. It actually almost looks like the same kind of scenario here. I'm just drawing some trend lines. Yeah, look, you see broke above this, broke above it, came back, retested, and then pivoted off of it, right? If I had to guess, we have an upper wick today, so I'm not going to be a buyer of it today. If it pulls back to this 20-day EMA, you've got the trend line now lined up with the 20-day EMA. So you could find, a nice pivot off of here. It looks right now this is going to be just below $260. So just, heads up on that. I'm curious about what UAMY is doing. I did make a trade on it last week. I sold it early just because I was going to the beach when it broke out. Is value / price meaningful or just a reference number value? James, I'll put it like this. If you plan on just getting in and out of the stock, a nice swing trade, pretty in and out pretty quickly, the value or, fundamentals, it's not something to rely on too much. Obviously I'd like to pick better stocks, undervalued stocks, a little bit strongly, maybe fundamental stocks. But yeah, but if you're more of a long-term investor, you might be weighting that value a lot more. But anytime I like to go bottom fishing, or if I see a big jump up in a stock, I'll throw on value and say, hey, even after this big jump up, it could be news related. Is the stock still undervalued, right? Because if the stock is still undervalued, VectorVest metrics means you might be getting a good deal and it's got good news on it. Because our value is pretty stringent. You've seen it on Palantir. It's it's non-bias. It doesn't go off hype. But as far as defend here, this is why the defense space is hot. It's triple leveraged right now. So if you don't want to have all these different defense stocks, manage different companies, and you're okay with some volatility, this is triple leverage ETF. Might be something that you're interested in. You can see the trend line here, broke it, but now look, it's retesting it from the bottom. You see that? Let's scroll back some more here. So it did break the trend line, but now it's just retesting it from the bottom. Look at the 20-day EMA, buying pressure every time, right? So if I'm not in defend, I see an upper wick here, I might wait to get a little bit closer to that 20-day EMA. Otherwise, if I'm in it, I'd be looking at that 20-day EMA, see if we can kind of break from that. But right now, doesn't look like, much of a problem here. Defense rocking and rolling. And all I see is, more country spending more and more money. And I think I saw another arms package to Ukraine. I think this one was for like $330 million or something like that. So again, a lot of money in this space, a lot of government money, right? I can see why it's hot. Nice up channel on defend. Yes. There's a ascending channel there. Probably like right in here. Broke the channel once, went right to the 20-day EMA and came right back up. So again, nothing too alarming when it comes to defense in general. Here's DRS, Aerospace Defense Manufacturer. Look, just overvalued. So I'm going to treat it like a momentum play. I'm going to stick to the technical. As long as price action is using that 20-day EMA as a level support and testing it from the top end, I like it. But if it starts, if it breaks that 20-day EMA, starts testing it from the bottom end in a downtrend, no, that's going to be my warning sign, right? So again, it all just depends what your goal is here. If you're a swing trader or if you're a long-term investor, right? And you got to, make choices appropriate based upon that. All right, here's UAMY. This is the breakout I was telling you about. Broke out here. It was around just over $3. Right now it's about $3.59. I did hit over 4 off of that. I think I sold, what would I go to? Beach Thursday? Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Friday, Thursday. Yeah, I think when it pulled down here, I just closed out of it because I was going to the beach, and I wanted to focus on the beach, not stocks, to be honest. But UAMY, I like it. The only thing I will say about rare earths, well, this case is a critical mineral stock. Just see what news comes out with China as far as any kind of trade deals with rare earths. But either way, even if China is going to supplement or give us their rare earths in the meantime, the cat is out of the bag. Not just the United States, but Western nations, our allies. We're all dependent on China, and pretty much Western countries are scrambling. UAMY is now they've got contracts with the Department of Defense now. If I remember correctly, like those contracts were like 5 years out. The Department of Defense is going to buy so much at a certain price of this antimony. Like one of the applications is night vision goggles. I'm sure there's other applications as well. Here's Howmet Aerospace. Look at this. Lower left, upper right, 120 to 187. But again, that 20-day EMA just letting us rock and roll here. Strong buy recommendation. If I go out to a 1-year chart, I do like that. Even though the stock is on the rise and moving, value is also rising as well. It went from $60 to now about $87. If I continue to scroll back here, you can see the stock always trading at a premium here. But even so, let's do a freehand line. It looks like that premium was always about the same. Like, see that there? See it here? It's always about the same from this premium, right? Until May of last year. Since May of last year, it has just skyrocketed. Let's see what the earnings growth rate is doing. It was faltering. You see the earnings growth rate finally starting to rise again here, and that's right afterwards. We got the divergence, so maybe that's what's getting investors enthused. If we look at sales, no, nothing enthusiastic here. But yeah, it's just trading way at a premium right now. So again, I'm going to stick to the technicals. Trade the chart, not your heart. Let's scroll out here. We got 6 months here. ITA, Aerospace Defense. This one just hit a brand new 6-month high. I mean, there's another ETF here. This is iShares ETF. HWM has premium expandosity. Yes, it does, John. Yes, it does. Tabula says, Ryan, what is your go-to defense stock? I like Defend the ETF, but to be honest, I've been more so playing semiconductors and rare earth being UAMY when it comes to defense and national security purposes, not necessarily, your normal defense stock. Because I look at semiconductors and these rare earth critical minerals just as important as some of these defense companies when it comes to geopolitical concerns of China. But here's Axon. So you see my level here just broke below it. See, these are the touches. Now we're touching from the bottom of Axon, right? This is not good. This would be my zone here. I would like to, we just broke it actually. So now we're retesting my zone from the bottom end. Axon, I'd be getting more defensive on this. Again, if all your goal was to swing trade this position, definitely would be getting more defensive. This was the swing trade here. This is a warning sign, losing the buy recommendation, now retesting it from 20, breaking. All I'm getting is warning bearish signs. Doesn't mean we can't get a good pivot and run, but right now we're not in that situation. So just got to ask yourself, Palantir is a defense stock. Yeah, Palantir is another defense stock as well. And it seems like, I think I did a video on this, the non-traditional defense stocks have outperformed the traditional ones. I like the move A-Lab is making. I do too. A-Lab has definitely been on my radar this week. And I think I just did a video with A-Lab. Because I've been doing all these videos. I can't remember if it was earlier this week or last week. It was one of the semiconductor ones. All right. Here's RTX. Look at this aerospace and defense company here. But look at the value. It's trying to keep up, though. It's now above $100. Big body candlestick yesterday. Not seeing as much follow through today, but hey, all the moving averages are in our favor. Forecasted data, positive territory. No big concern here at this position. And here's RNMBY. This is the undervalued stock, but I see value on the decline and price action on the decline now. We lost our buy ratings. Now we're at a hold. below the 20-day EMA. So if you're in this position, I'd be getting a little bit more defensive, but especially okay, that's the long-term trend line right there. And it just broke it. So I would be getting a little bit more defensive on this position right now. But again, also just, more of a swing trading perspective, right? Obviously, if you're more of an investor, you should have some kind of stop in place, give you a little bit more wiggle room. But as far as a swing trade, I would be a little bit more concerned. Let's see here, Greg, that's for sure. We pressed our luck with the fire whistle blared at 10 a.m. All right, let's go ahead and see how many likes we got here. How many likes we got? We are at 58 likes, so we're going to get 6 stocks right now. First 6 stocks to come across the comment section, or the first 6 going to be put in here. Just put 1 stock per person, though. Per person. And A-Lab, I will do that. That will be my honorable mention. So you don't even have to put in A-Lab, because there's been a lot of talk about it. Apparently, it's on the move. All right. We got 6 here. CVS, CX, SMCI, AAL, Uri, PYPL. See what we got here. Should be 7. 7 it is. There we are. Top 5 got buy ratings. American Airlines as a whole down 8% right now, and CVS Corp down 4%. But look at A-Lab. Oh, right now is at 1 point. Let's see what the charts are. I'm talking about big moves with A-Lab. Oh, the big move a couple days ago. Okay, I thought I was making big moves today again. Gotcha. You can see the company just overvalued here as a semiconductor company, diverging away from that 20-day EMA. This was my zone that I had as level of resistance, and it broke through that entire barrier through a gap up here. If we take a look, go into a 1-month chart, looks like we're hovering right at that 3-day EMA. You can see bottom wick touches on it, several touches over the last few trading sessions. Airlines are to rent, not own. Oh, yeah, Orla did sell off. I will add Orla. I'm curious. Anyone know what the news was on Orla? Did they have earnings, Bashir? Did they have earnings? I'm just curious about that. All right, let me bring these charts back over here. As far as earnings, it's been a while since we've had earnings here. But look at this. Sales growth rate, 144%. Greatly outpacing the earnings growth rate. See why investors are enthused about the position. Yeah, you're paying a premium for it. And I wouldn't necessarily buy it today. I'd be more concerned about taking profits than anything right now. But look for the retest around here. Or even potentially down to this zone right now. Shouldn't the chat kings and queens get priority with the stock picks? It's not a bad idea, Tabula. It is not a bad idea. Wall came down in one of their mines. Oh, and Orla? That's what happened, Maria? That's not good. Here's SMCI. Again, look at the value faltering with price action. But as of late, value on the decline, or on the rise and price action, both on the rise here. My favorite chart pattern. Finally breaking out of this zone I had for resistance here. We saw the rejection, and we broke above it. Found a level of support here. Nice little pivot off of it, and then back up to the races. Now we're hovering above that 20-day EMA. I really like SMCI. I mean, obviously next week's going to be pretty volatile in general. But I like SMCI. I like to play here. If I was going to, do some bottom fishing, this is the one, because now I've got a lot of candlesticks to work off of. Lockheed Martin, UNH, they're still going down, Yes, no one hurt and no equipment damage for Orla. Here's another one. United Rentals, look at this. Big jump up today, coming in at 870. And this is what I'll tell you why I look at value, right? Because look at what we value the company at 922. Value on the rise, price action on the rise, right? So if I'm going to think, swing trading or investing, if I'm going to consider a stock that just had a big move, I would definitely prefer, even after the big move, that the stock is undervalued, right? So I don't feel like I'm just getting, living FOMO that day and just, got ripped off essentially, because I could have some patience. So again, if I do see a big move, I'd much rather do, take action or partake in that big move in an undervalued company. SMCI earnings on the 5th. Is that the same day as AMD? Alex, will you look that up for me? I'm almost positive because AMD I think is August 5th as well. I'm curious about that. Just let me know. But I'm almost positive that AMD is August 5th. And then NVIDIA, I think it was like August 27th. It's towards the end of the month, though. It's towards the end of the month. But as far as United Health Rentals, I mean, I see the the big body candles there. See about right here. All right, if this turns into a big wick, I'm not saying it will, but if it turns into a big wick, this is the resistance zone. It looks like rejection, but right now, I like this. Even after the big jump up today, I still like it. If you want the confirmation, give up a little bit more, maybe 894. Otherwise, if you're jumping in, just make sure you got a plan in place, all right? Maybe a trailing stop or something, just as an example. Here's Cemex. This is a building cement company here. Big momentum. Let's just do a 3-yard. Look at this 3-month chart. This looks absolutely phenomenal. Value on the rise, price action on the rise, not a lot of volatility. I see the big upper wick today, so yeah, I'm not going to be necessarily in a rush to jump in. And you probably jump in, a little bit better deal closer to the 20-day EMA, just generally speaking. But overall, I mean, I've never heard of this stock before, but I would definitely put it on your radar. I mean, it's a nice chart here. Undervalued. The only thing I'm concerned about, just looking at it right now, the sales growth rate, -7. But either way, maybe just put a trend line on there. The 20-day EMA might be a couple easy bucks for you. All right, here's Orla Mining. Now, again, undervalued. A lot of the gold stocks are. But look at the gap down. Clearly breaking that 20-day EMA. Again, this is they said there's a mine collapse here. So you can play a catch-22 if you want to jump in. But right now, obviously, it's going to be like catching a falling knife. And if you're trading options on this, I would probably wait just because I know the premiums are probably very expensive. Since it was $12, now it's at $10. So a lot of volatility just kicked in today. So I wouldn't even buy the options on this. I'd wait for that volatility to subside, so that way get better deals. Here's PayPal. Oh, and to the adverse effect, if you do own Orla, sell some covered calls against it, right? Because I imagine those covered calls with a lot more volatility than was yesterday, probably get a little bit more money for those covered calls or protective puts, depending on which way you want to go with it. Here's PayPal. Look, coming in at $77.87. Value rocking and rolling right now. Value is actually above $90. Price action above the 20-day EMA. They might have something good in the works here. Growth rate 7, sales growth rate 0. Let's see what a year looks like. Look at this, value and price on the decline for quite some time. We saw that worked out, but now this actually looks really good. I like what I see here. And as well, this thing might just see some momentum pick up because you got these little trend lines here. If we can break above this, I'd be a little bit more optimistic. I got in Orla yesterday from Hot Stocks. Yeep. Ooh, sorry, Maria. The Hot Stocks watch list. Here's American Airlines. So look, American Airlines, you'd think you'd be getting a good deal, $11. It was up here at 18, but look at the valuation. Went from 24 to just shy of 8 or just below 18, and no signs of slowing down the valuation. Someone's going to put this in the United Healthcare category. You might be thinking you're getting a great deal, but at the same time, the value of that deal is also decreasing. It does look better, by all means, than United Healthcare. I'm not going to say it looks worse. It definitely looks better. But again, value on the decline, price action on the decline. Can't get in. A big gap down today. If we look at the numbers here, growth rate on the decline, sales growth rate on the decline. Nope. Just like the comment section earlier, I saw airlines are for rent, not to own. I'd be more of a trader rather than an investor of some of these airlines. CVS, this does not look like a good chart at all. At all. You're actually just where you were 12 months ago. And look at all this volatility you'd have to, put yourself through. Going from $45 to, $70 here? So it's overvalued. And if we see, look, value is now declining. price action is declining, fresh sale rating, the growth rate in earnings is actually negative. So I can't get behind this stock. I'm just going to give you an honest opinion there. All righty. Well, looks like we just got a few minutes left here. So before I go, because I know different people are in the room right now, just an announcement. I got 2 announcements. The first one, and the more important one, Glenn, I know Monday on the live stream, and really over the last few weeks, a lot of VectorVest subscribers and a lot of members of the VectorVest community have asked how they can help Glenn, and how help his family. So we just wanted to, put an opportunity out there. So our CEO worked alongside with his wife, and there's a GoFundMe account. All the contributions will go to Glenn and his family as he is in recovery. As I mentioned in the statement earlier, he is doing rehab right now to regain his strength, but all is good with Glenn there. He's just, he's got to have some time to recover. Other than that, the other news, the other update, and I gave these announcements at the beginning of the broadcast, just want to give them again at the end. So again, if you want to help Glenn, just go to vectorvest.com/Glenn. The GoFundMe link is right there. And the other announcement is that Power Hour on Wednesdays is now being moved to Fridays. So it's every other Friday, 2 p.m., and it'll be simulcast with the VectorVest Community Room. So we're going to do that Fridays at 2 p.m. Other than that, I think that's all of the announcements there. All right, everybody. I guess enjoy your week. Enjoy what's left of your week. Again, it's hard to believe it is Thursday. And again, don't fall for some of these traps like United Healthcare, Lockheed Martin. Again, if you want, a stock that's on a dip, SMCI, that tends to be a better fit in my opinion. But everyone out there, enjoy the rest of your evening. Good luck trading to you, and I will see you tomorrow afternoon. Take care. Bye.
Hold on, let me click this.
Oh.
Nope. Just click end broadcast.